Hi, this is BB. It's the 7th or the 8th, I believe. It's about, I don't know, close to 6 in the morning. So I woke up and I was, of course, there in my head. And I've been gassed a lot. My poor cat, she wants to almost keel over. And so I've been thinking. And I'm trying to talk my way out of the situation. I'm trying to just reason with these people because I don't know what else to do. I go to the police and say, well, this is happening, that's happening. They're not going to do anything. They've told me flat out. I go with something that is actually happening to me, which is hacking. But they are not actually. They're telling me, and I live in Oklahoma, that they can't do anything about it. It's out of their jurisdiction. They're not able to. So I try to reason with these people as best I can. But I was thinking to myself, I was talking out loud actually, because I know they can hear me. It's like talking to a toddler. You could just come to an agreement with a toddler. Well, this is wrong. You don't do this anymore. You don't do this at all. Do you know this is wrong? Yes. Do you understand what you did was wrong? Yes. Are you going to do it again? No. And 2 minutes later, they will do it. It's like you wondered if the conversation ever happened at all. But it did. These people are like toddlers, except it's like talking to a stone wall. It's almost like they're so hardened. They're so hardened, basically. They're so stiffened. They're so almost like a brick or a piece of stone. They come at you already preset, already with the agenda that you're going to say these things. They expect you to say them. They've studied you before. They know how your mind works. They know how your mind works. They know how your thought process is going to play out. And they already they've already armed themselves with these presets to counter whatever you're going to bring to the table or whatever unpredictability that might come out of your head in terms of verbiage. Well, they can't counter all of them because you know things, and as we evolve, even within this arena that they put us in, this little box, and it's getting tighter and tighter, like a boa constricting and just squeezing a life out of us, we're still evolving. How do we evolve? I was thinking in terms of that stone wall, or bargaining with a kid, and the kid does the same thing with 2 minutes later, without any thought, because this is what kids do. They don't really care either. They will test the parents' patience and limits. It's like they were born to do this. But that's the way how parents and kids evolve and they grow. They learn patience. They learn how smart the kid is going to be, how creative the kid is going to be. And they can deal with that. And they are learning all the time as well. It's like a two-way street of learning. With us, when it comes to the Creator, this is what my point of making this video, because I felt a little encouraged. My point of making this video is that people say they're talking to God, they're praying, and they're not getting any responses. Because they're looking for bells and whistles, they're looking for lightning bolts, they're looking for things to happen instantaneously of a physical nature to give them that type of hope. Not subtle things. They want it right then, right now. Well, we're humans. We're stupid. This is what we do, right? So, when you're talking to your Creator, you're having a heartfelt conversation with this energy that you know is there, is within and without you. It's always been there. Sometimes you get what you want, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get the opposite of what you want, and you get mad because you have that sense of entitlement. And then sometimes you say, well, fuck it, I didn't want it anyway, or maybe it wasn't the best thing for me, or maybe he thought that it wasn't the best thing. We don't look at the inner fears that we have, of the reasons we would have for not wanting that thing, or not having that thing right then, because we don't feel we're prepared, or it's going to be too much for us to handle, or we simply don't really want it. It's just because we see the neighbor enjoying it, we feel, well, we want one too. But the thing is, When we're talking to our Creator, we're not talking to a stone wall. Because we may start out with anger, the stiffness right in the chest right here, around the heart chakra. Because we want to push, we're pushing against something. We want something to yield, something to break, something to respond right then, right now. It does. But not in a way how we would normally see it. It's not coming through the walls or the ceiling or the floor, or the sky doesn't part and something pelts down. That could happen, but very rarely. What we do is we start to change. Because as we are using this energy, we start to soften. We start out stiff as a board because there's a problem. There's an immediate need. There's something to, just right then we want bells and whistles, frills and frocks to show itself. Streamers, drum sets, parades, to know that we're being heard. It doesn't happen. But if we look at the reality of the situation, what happens when we get something that we want? What's the one thing that happens? We change. We change. Whether we get happy or sad, we learn something or we're humbled. Either way, we learn something. We're humbled either way. By the fact that we are able to get what we want, or we redirect ourselves to something better. We're changed in that moment anyway. So talking to our Creator always works. We're always heard. Because as we're praying, we start to change. We could slow down and watch for the last, if you've been praying for at least 2 minutes, think of how you started out praying and where you are after 2 minutes. Sometimes you're still stiff, but if you find at that moment you start to soften. You take stock. You take note. This is the beginning of starting to know yourself. Know thyself. Know yourself. Know this great power you have. Because you're connected to the divine. You are part of His tribe. Every single sand, including you, are part. You is or are. Sometimes I don't know. I'm getting a little bit confused with the is and the are. You're part of His tribe. Not for one moment believe that you're outside of His tribe. We have one tribe, one leader, one ruler, and that's Him. No matter what religion you are, no matter what your belief system is, no matter how stubborn you think you are, no matter how belligerent or irrational, you belong to the same tribe. That's His people. And you're here to make a difference. Whether you like it or not. Whether you want it or not. Whether you feel like thrilled to your bones that you belong to something that is bigger than you, that is magnificent, that you are magnificence in human form, because you represent your Creator here on earth. You represent Him. This is who you are. You have greatness within you. You are greatness. You have all the power, the skill sets and the tools to get what you want. These things, what's the biggest fear to go out and go after what you want? We're dealing with people like you and me. Let's call it what it is, assholes. You just have to get past the assholery stage and you get what you want. It's not that difficult. We're afraid of people, basically. We're afraid of each other. Don't be. You don't be. You take the people out, you have buildings. Money's in the banks, in the vaults. Who really we're afraid of? These other assholes like us who's preventing us from just getting what we want. You go one to one bank and they tell you, no, go another one, and then another one. You'll find somehow Even back and forth from the bank, you'll find somebody, some way to get creative. After you stop fighting with the banks, you'll find a way to get that money. You'll find a way to get that seed money. You'll find a way to get it. Mostly though, when you're praying, like getting back to the original part of this video, is that when you're praying, you're always heard because you are changing. And that's what it all means, that you're being heard. Because you are finding solutions. Your energy is like rearranging itself in that moment of prayer. Solutions are coming to you. You're becoming solutions based. When you change, everybody that you're supposed to come into contact with that following day, that second after, a month after, 10 years after, their lives are also being affected in that moment because of decisions you're making. And this is something he would want us to know. Always have the best intentions and the highest. We must have goals of the highest caliber. Why bother with these bottom feeding goals when you can do what you want at the top? Why go after pebbles when you can have diamonds? But when you're praying, your prayers are always heard. Your prayers are always heard because you are changing. So never for one moment think your prayers are falling on deaf ears. They're not. Because if you take note of when you started to pray, by the time the prayer is finished, the pleading, the begging, the crying, however form you're doing it in that moment, depends on what circumstances you're encountering in your physical life. You'll find that you are changing. You start to see things differently. You to become calmer, more tight in a ball, more resistant to solutions, or you become soluble, malleable, ready to just, well, I'm going to give it a shot anyway, I don't have anything else to lose. Or you're super confident. It doesn't matter how it plays out. Something shifted. Something changed. Your prayers are always heard. Think about it. They're always heard. Take note of it.